We're still feeling the aftermath of the Dame Lillard trade that shook up the NBA. Dame spoke to Bleacher Report, and it looks like Pascal Siakam and the Raptors have no talks on an extension. Justin Pooni, Noor Zainab, Hoop Talks, back again on a Friday. We're actually in the studio, and hopefully this episode will get published, unlike our last one on Wednesday. We're going to do an emergency episode. But Noor, we're going to touch on Pascal Siakam and the Raptors because it all kind of ties back into what we saw on Wednesday with Dame Lillard getting traded to Milwaukee. Dame spoke, right? He put a big, long message out on Instagram and Twitter thanking the city of Portland. He was on Instagram Live saying that this is my home. You're going to see me there in the summertime. And, after my career's done, I will be living in Portland still.
And I've never seen a player actually take the time to thank reporters.
Yeah, he did.
He named them by name. And he's like, I thank Sean Highkin. I thank this.
Shank?
I thank
Jesus.
not Shank. I thank this person and that person. So it was very different because I feel like he wanted to make it. Loyalty to him is very important. You can see this play out as everything was taking place. And that sounds kind of ironic because he wanted out so badly. But you can tell how dear he holds Portland to his heart.
Absolutely. And I think it ties in perfectly because he spoke to Chris Haynes of the Bleacher Report and NBA on TNT. And there's a whole lot of stuff to unpack in this article. It was very, very deep. Very messy divorce, right?
It felt like a hit piece almost.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, Dame did drop not a diss track, but he had the song planned to come out right when it was announced. But let's go through some of the things that were discussed in this article. So, Dame said it left a sour taste in his mouth. The Blazers were supposed to meet with Miami in Vegas during Summer League. It never happened. But this was the key part. So Lillard basically went to Blazers GM Joe Cronin and said if a deal couldn't be worked out with the Heat, he would prefer to rescind his trade request and return to the Blazers. Cronin said, "You're not coming back." Lillard was actually back at the Blazers practice facility the last couple of weeks working out because pre-training camp workouts and all that has started. He was barely talking to everybody, not want to create any animosity, but him and Cronin did not speak at all.
Yeah.
So Noor, the other thing is, let's touch on that first. What did you make of that where Dame basically said, if you can't trade me to Miami, I'll just come back to Portland, and the GM basically saying no?
I don't know. I feel like that might be on the GM a little bit there. You got to look at Joe Cronin and wonder what he was thinking at that point because as we know, like it seemed like Dame was very adamant on just going to Miami. And to me, because of the guy that he is, it never seemed as though wherever he got traded to, if Blazers thought that we will only trade you to the best offer that we get, then he's gonna go and play there. That's the kind of guy that he is. And even if you have 3 years on your contract, you're going to go out and put the ball in the bucket because 3 years, you can't sit out for 3 years. And also, like, you're aging at that point, right? So by the end of that contract, you're 36, you gotta go and play. But as far as Portland goes, it made sense to me that if for him it was Miami or nothing, because for him, loyalty matters a lot. So he said, if I'm not going to go to Miami, I'd rather come back to the team that I know, that I love, that I understand. I know the system. The fans know me. I love them. So I understood that part. At the same time, I will say to Jim Cronin's credit, like the only thing I'll say to that is if someone is already asked and out, it's very hard to bring that back in just in terms of the dynamic of the group. But at the same time, though, again, this is basketball. I'm sure everybody on the Blazers would have thought to themselves, we would love to have Dame back, And I don't know. I think that was shooting himself in the foot a little bit. I think he played himself and he wanted to maybe get the best deal possible. And yeah, you've got DeAndre Ayton in that because I think they got lucky having the Suns being the third team.
Yeah, well,
they got very lucky with that.
Yeah, the Suns, they wanted to get rid of DeAndre. And if, look, even Miami, now reports saying that Pat Riley never, ever, fixed his offer. They never seriously got into it. But then there's reports saying that Miami did want to facilitate a team with a third team with it to help facilitate the trade. But to what you were saying, I think what Joe Cronin was doing was he felt that he was boxed in. Dame said, I'm only going to go to Miami, and there was no leverage there, right? So that's why he came out of the media and said, look, I'm going to field all offers from everybody else. And then I think they just didn't want to give Dame what he wanted, right? Which, again, we see a lot in the NBA where star players get what they want, right? Because you know that Dame wasn't going to do what a James Harden did. Trade me to Philly or Brooklyn, otherwise I'm not going to play, or I'm going to gain 40 pounds. Right? And get fat and be partying with rappers during training camp. Dame's not that type of guy. Dame is going to show up. He's going to be professional. He's going to play. He was at the facility working out with players, right? While this whole thing was going on.
And while not hearing anything back from the
Exactly.
front office. That shows
the Blazers ghosted him.
Yeah, that shows his commitment to the team. He said, I don't care if you're not listening, you're not responding to me. I'm going to do my job, be a professional, and still show up to practice with these guys.
Right. So the next part of that is last year, at the end of the last 10 games of the season, they asked Dame to sit out with a calf injury, right? And to help get a better draft pick, to help facilitate and get a better trade to bring in a veteran star.
I do want to say,
they obviously didn't do that.
I think we need to look more into those things where, and maybe factor in the teams asking players to sit out, because this ultimately, if we're talking about Damian Lillard, even if we were like, okay, I want to have him on my team, you start to factor in how many games he sat out. And we don't know why he sat those games out. We thought it was injury. But now you're hearing that it was actually the Blazers being like, hey, we need you to take a step back so we can get that third draft pick. That's a little bit...
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks for Dame, right? That maybe might have even tanked his value a little bit because it contributed to not having as many games that he could have played.
I think this just solidified everything that we already knew about the NBA, where teams will tell their star players to sit, right? You saw the Mavericks do it last year too, right? Tank the last couple games, get a better draft pick, right? The Blazers, though, got the better draft pick. They finished 1-9 in those 10 games, got the third overall pick, but drafted Scoot Henderson and couldn't facilitate a trade to bring in another star. Which then ties me into this point here, where it looks like when Dame decided that he wasn't going to go to Miami, they had another meeting, and they kind of opened up to, okay, maybe we'll go to Brooklyn or Milwaukee, which eventually helped out with the Milwaukee Bucks trade. Giannis also spoke in that article as well, talked about how it's very bittersweet.
Yeah.
He basically said, Drew Holiday's my brother. I love him, which, again, shows you that there's the personalities and the personability in this business.
I love, honestly, the duo of Giannis and Dame. Obviously on court, it's going to be amazing basketball on all ends, the perimeter, the paint, everything in between in that too. But the fact that these are like, I don't want to say the term good guys, but these are guys that value good, you know? So they're going to be there for each other. And the fact that, as you said, like Giannis's entire, I think his quotes that were used in the Bleacher Report article, probably 75% of it was saying, I'm gonna miss Drew. I love Drew. He's family. He's beyond basketball. I'm excited to play with Dame. Obviously, I can't wait to get another championship. Like, that's what you want to get after you've got the first one. But at the same time, I love Drew. I'm gonna miss Drew. So it shows like these are guys who might have the same kind of values towards their relationships being put together on a team, and that might be really good for the franchise of the Bucks.
I think, like Dame even said, like it's the first time he's gonna play with somebody who's better than him. Right?
Yeah.
He already acknowledged the fact that Giannis is the best player on planet Earth. It shows you that he's willing to go to Milwaukee, buy in, knows that it's Giannis's team. And he even said, he's like, I've always been on a team that's been the underdog. If we had a good season, it's because we overachieved. Now to be the hunter rather than the hunted, right? Shows you he's relishing that opportunity, and he knows.
I guarantee you, I can even bet on this right now. His assist numbers are going to skyrocket.
It's going to be, we know it's going to be. And like you mentioned, these are two guys that, we saw the clips from the All-Star draft where Giannis picked Dame first, and Dame, being such a loyal guy that is, those type of, acts of service, means something to him. We've heard that these guys have talked about playing.
And he said this before. Remember, last time he was like, there was a tweet asking me about who you want to play with for the NBA Finals to get the championship, and he point blank for verbatim was just like, Giannis. That's it. So they've been wanting to play together for a long time. The only thing that was holding them back was the fact that Dame wanted Giannis in Portland, Giannis wanted Dame in Milwaukee, and now he gets his wish.
Also, Bleacher Report is getting kind of roasted on social media right now because they put the Calgary background with the Dame Giannis graphic. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. The people are calling them out because they actually put the Calgary skyline, not the Milwaukee skyline.
Well, that tells you about American geography.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would tell the difference either, but I'll leave that up to them. But let's talk about how that ties into the Raptors as well.
That's what I was about to get to right now.
Sorry about that, but I'm going to do the segue for you because there's so many different teams that obviously, like, as we know, you can have a star who wants to go out to a certain team, just that one team, and that's it. But we know now, as the NBA is growing and we're giving the players these empowering movements, right? That there's still a chance for that player to be used in a trade value. Now, you're never going to trade your superstar. That's never going to happen. But if they're asking for an out, out, you're going to get the most you can get back. And other teams have now realized that, yes, if they have a preferred destination, they could go there, but I want to throw my hat in the ring. I want to see what I can get out of this. I want to see what kind of haul I can get out of it. So we saw so many different teams involved with that, as you said, with Milwaukee, with the Nets, and with the Raptors as well. And there's so much talk about how, like, he didn't want to go to Toronto. He said it. He said it as well.
He did not want to play in Toronto. He want to play in
Milwaukee
Canada.
Milwaukee or the Nets, and that's kind of how his agent pursued these talks as well. But the thing that we're not remembering here is the fact that had Masai wanted him, he could have got him a week ago. And you know why? It's because he refused to trade OG Anunoby or Scotty Barnes.
Or Pascal Siakam.
Well, you're not going to get Pascal Siakam for Dame, but you're going to try to get OG Anunoby at the very least. And it sounds like OG Anunoby was the guy they wanted. And Raptors said, no, not at all. Not going to be in trade talks whatsoever. And to me, that tells you nothing about this team moving forward, because what are you doing?
Well,
we know about like OG. We know how important he is to the team. I love OG. I prefer him. I know you can roll your eyes all you want, but when you have a chance to go and get a guy like Dame, and you pretty much are doing a swap with OG and Dame at that point, because if you look at the deal that was made with the Bucks, it was Drew Holiday and you had Grayson Allen,
a first-round pick
and a couple first-round picks, and you had pick swaps there. But like at that point, you're okay to give up your future for Dame and Giannis on the court, and you've got depth at that point as well. So I'm looking at Masai and I'm going, you could have had Dame, and now you have OG Anunoby, who's gonna be on an expiring contract.
Yeah. I think.
And what are you going to do with that?
When you look at it, right? I think the report, I forget if it was Brian Wood or somebody said the Raptors could have had Dame Lillard last week if they were willing to offer OG Anunoby. I said it before we talked on Wednesday. Masai loves OG more than his own kids, it seems like. Because the fact that. Why? He had 4 first-round picks on the table for him and still didn't trade him. Yes, right? The fact that.
No, it hurts still.
The fact that he was unwilling to part with this player who somehow you think is going to evolve to the next level, the next iteration of Kawhi Leonard or something like that, is not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. He's a good NBA player. He's an all-NBA defender. But to get Dame Lillard, a guy who averaged 32 points a game, a top 75 player of all time, if it wasn't for Steph Curry, he might be the best point guard in the game.
And the other part of
right?
that, too.
And you can't trade him for OG Anunoby.
Well, you also have Dame on contract then for 3 years, which is what I just don't understand. Like, it's another thing where it's like, we said this before too, where it's like, yes, okay, a player doesn't want to play here, he's not going to do it. But I call bluff, because you're 33 years old. You're going to want to play basketball until at least your contract expires, work to maybe get one last contract out of your career. And that means you have to play in that time period. I don't care. Roll the dice on the fact that he might end up actually liking Toronto. He might end up caring about maple syrup and milk in bags. He might care about that stuff.
That's an
he
Ontario
might be the
thing.
face
That's
of
not a
Canada Goose, right? He might be walking around like he's in a heated apartment constantly. But that could have been done.
I have a Canada Goose, and it's like a heated apartment all the time.
Yeah, well, also because of, I'm not going to get into the PETA stuff,
but we're
going to leave it out there. But anyway, he could have had that. And I'm not sure why Masai never rolled the dice, because now, again, like as we talked about it too, we've got 3 guys who have to sign their contracts. You have Pascal Siakam, as you mentioned to me before this show.
Oh, you're stealing my
Go ahead. I'll let you say it.
No, it's fine. You can do it.
No, it's okay. You can say it.
No, but like you mentioned, right? Like OG is not going to sign a new deal right now because he wants to bet on himself and get a bigger deal in the offseason, right?
Yeah.
We heard about Gary Trent Jr. extension right when Fred VanVleet left. Where has that been?
That's what I'm saying. 3 contracts, nothing has happened so far.
And now the biggest elephant in the room is now Michael Grange from Sportsnet put out an article the other day talking about how there's been no contract talks whatsoever between Siakam and the Raptors. So now that all the little noise has settled down, it's their best player. Talks eventually cool, but the level of commitment Toronto has shown to the 2-time All-NBA players uncertain. There have been no talks on a contract extension. And Noor, we saw this whole offseason that his name was bandied about with rumors going to Atlanta. Atlanta made a strong push for him. They didn't deal it. So I'm going to tell you these numbers, and I'm going to get your opinion on this. So Siakam this year makes $37.9 million.
Yeah.
Decent chunk of change. He's currently eligible to sign a 4-year, $192 million offer. Right? That's a lot of money. If he plays the season out, these are the 2 outcomes that if he plays the season out and bets on himself, which I think is what he's going to do. If he makes an All-NBA team, which he's done before, 5 years, $290 million.
That's an extra $100 million for the year.
Yes. Now, even if he doesn't make All NBA and he just still plays a good season, next year in the summer, 5 years, $248 million. So my question to you is, if you are Masai Ujiri and you see that this is going to be what's coming down the road at the end of the season, is that why the contract talks have just stopped? You're like, we don't want to pay you that amount of money and we're still going to try to trade you throughout this season?
I think this is just disrespectful to Siakam now. It's so disrespectful.
Why?
Because, like, what do you mean, why? That's your star of the team. You can laugh about it and call him a star or whatever not, but he's the best player on the squad. The point was to have Siakam run everything. And if they're not able to give him the proper roster, every other team around the league, I know he's not the Giannis level, but just like Giannis, he's the best player on this team. And look at what the Bucks did for Giannis. They catered the entire roster around him. The Raptors haven't even picked a direction yet. They've got two guys who are supposed to be the main guys on this team playing the same freaking position. That can't happen. It can't be a thing. And you've got Scotty who wants to run point. Siakam, who's just been in, I feel so bad for him because, as you said, like for the past year, just been in trade talks constantly. And how they've been treating him, I would just say trade him at this point. Like, let him go somewhere else. They're not jumping on any offer. They've gotten offers back, but they never jumped on anything.
Remember what happened with Atlanta was he refused to sign a new contract extension with Atlanta because he wanted to play this season out, right, and then get the most amount of money. So if I'm Masai Ujiri, right, I'm
sure if you offer Siakam up the way that, like, you can't just be in trade talks the way it's like, oh, you want to give away DeJounte Murray? All right, what about Siakam? You have to almost make it seem like, okay, my player now is up for grabs. Siakam at that point can do whatever Dame's doing and say, no, I don't want to go here, I want to go there. At the end of the day, though, we've seen that doesn't really always work out. For the players, how many times did that work out for them?
Yeah,
I don't think it's worked out for any player ever, really.
It worked out for LeBron when he went to Miami.
Okay, sorry, LeBron GM, you got that. But Kawhi never did. Kyrie never did. KD probably did. I think he wanted to go to the Suns perhaps. But
I mean, it worked out with Golden State when he went to Golden State.
Well, he chose to go there. That was his free agency we're talking about.
Paul George.
If it's asking for a trade to go to a specific team, the odds of them going to that team are pretty low. It's going to be elsewhere.
Paul George didn't want to go to Oklahoma City. He had a couple great years in OKC. No playoff success, though. But like you said, when you look at this Siakam situation, I can tell what he's trying to do. He doesn't want to go anywhere else because he sees that I can have an okay season and still get $250 million and a no trade clause. If he signs a new contract with the Raptors, he's eligible for a no trade clause. And if I'm Masai Ujiri and I see this, I need to move him because I don't know if I can invest $200+ million to a guy who's going to be 30 years old, right? And we've heard Darko. Does he ever mention Pascal Siakam in any of his press conferences or anything about the offense of late?
Well, we haven't heard literally anything. We don't know anything. We don't know what the direction is. We don't know what the team is. We have no idea what the roster is. Right now, there's a bunch of guys who can play individually well, but they cannot play together. I'm not sure what that team will look like. And I completely, like, I see where you're coming from, where it's just like, yeah, you've had your moments, but I just think in terms of Pascal now, it's disrespectful to him. Like, you're constantly,
he's not, but
yes, it is, because he's constantly in trade talks. He's supposed to be the guy on our team, and you've completely catered your team around in a way where you have no idea who's the leader, who runs what, who's supposed to be calling the shots, nothing. And you're moving forward with now a new coach, a new coaching staff who is in here for development. They're not here to grow this team and get wins. They're here for development. So you're showing Pascal Siakam the entire way that, not sure about you, not sure about you, not sure about you. Then just cut the cord and let him go somewhere else.
But that's what I'm saying. Pascal Siakam, but he's not a Giannis or a LeBron, a guy who can warrant a team to push their buttons. But bring me stars here. He's not that guy, right? So that's why you talk about development, they hired a coach for development. They don't have if Pascal Siakam was that guy and that good, right? I'm sure the Raptors would build around him, but I don't think they think he's that guy to build around.
Well, they don't see him. They thought about that for the past 5 years when they were doing the Project 6ix9ine. That's what I'm saying. Is like,
and where to go?
Can I finish?
Okay.
If you've changed your direction, no problem. Let the guy know that you did. Make it obvious. Let him just, give him the respect to be like, okay, at this point, Siakam, I don't want to drag you through the mud, because if he's going to go to the season now, I get he'd want to go to, Hawks, but talk to him. Be like, okay, you know what, Siakam, at this point, we want to move you, but we want to do right by you. So what do you think is going to happen? And you can make that happen. Yes, you can.
I don't think he warrants that. He's not a good enough player to warrant that, though.
He's a good enough player that other teams who are contending could use a guy like him.
He's a very good
Let's talk about
secondary
Dallas.
piece. He's
Let's
a very
talk
good
about
secondary
anybody out
piece.
there.
I agree. He's a very good secondary
Yeah,
piece.
so if
But
we're
he's
a
not a
secondary
superstar.
piece, you're gonna
He's not a
get pieces
superstar like
back.
Dame or Giannis or
But
LeBron.
you're missing the point. The point is that he's the star on your team. So he gets the respect of being the star on your team. And he's won you a championship. He was the best second guy. I can see the horns come out.
He wasn't
I can
the second
see the
option.
smoke. I can't even. Oh, don't even go get there, Justin. Don't go
We're
there
gonna go to
right
Kawhi again. We're gonna go to Kawhi again.
Don't do this right now. Don't do this. I'm Zen. Whom?
You want to go to Kawhi?
No, I don't want to do this.
Let's do it.
No, anyway, but for Siakam, I just think it's disrespectful. I think at this point, choose a direction and let that guy go. Cut the court, have a respectable conversation with him, figure out your direction, figure out his, because putting him in trade talks when the season's going to start is going to ruin the mood of this team, the dynamic of this team, the environment of this team. No one's going to know who they are and where they're supposed to end up. At least moving Pascal is going to show the other guys that, okay, you have a little bit of a stay now. We've figured out what our team looks like. Let's roll with the punches. With Siakam still being here, you haven't picked a direction.
Well, now here's the thing too. The media, and I don't know if the media is going to do this at all. You have 3 guys that have no contracts. You have a GM now, president of basketball operations, who's gotten soft and can't pull a trigger on a trade whatsoever. And that's going to become a distraction now. I don't know if the media is going to ask, but I'm going to ask the questions on here. What are you going to do, Masai? What are you going to do? Are you going to re-sign these guys? Are you going to trade them? Why didn't you pull the trigger on a
I also wonder
Dame?
if it's Masai or Bobby. Like, I wonder if Bobby got given the reins, you know?
That's not a good sign.
Well,
anyway.
it would make sense because he got taken over, and since then it's just been kind of, but
soft.
Yeah.
Soft like Charmin. Anyway,
Oh my goodness.
you know what's not soft like Charmin? Our takes on Hoop Talks. We'll be back on Monday
they're
to
hot?
break down the Raptors Media Day. Oh boy, basketball season's right around the corner.